Welcome back, everyone, to the LCS Challengers League. I am Mazel, joined by Beatdown, and yet again we have Smacks after a wonderful interview with the star Wild Turtle, and also get to hear a little bit of that wholesomeness behind the story is really, really nice. So appreciate you, Smacks, for bringing that to us, and also appreciate Wild Turtle for giving us that performance on the day, giving all those fans a lot to talk about. But now we're moving on into our next series of the day as we are getting into it here. We're having, obviously, IMTC versus CLGC, and an opposite focus from what we were focusing on in series number 1 itself. And we are all about bot lane here. And for IMTC, when we bring up this roster, there's been some question marks for the bottom lane as a whole. Some of the execution needing questions answered. But the one question that does not need answering is if Balulu can carry, and Balulu definitely has done that. And Beatdown, when we talk about this, our roster as a whole and the way that Chad has been trying to work and facilitate a lot of these carries, it's really interesting.
It is, and I got to talk to Chad actually twice now, following up on what I asked him before. I talked to him just as Balulu joined, and he even told me how overall he's still trying to figure out how Balulu wants to play, how that works with how he wants to play, and that whole adjustment period, because he had just joined us here in the NACL. And now, following up and asking him, how do you feel about it now? He says he's comfortable. Now, they've played together a lot, they've practiced together a lot these last couple of weeks since Balulu has joined us, and he feels a lot more confident about how he's able to play around how Balulu likes to play the game. And I think these guys have looked really good at times since Balulu has joined, and Balulu, of course, being that standout and consistent player.
Yeah. And imagine being copy across the board, be like, yo,
yeah.
where's my hype up, yo? I've been popping up on CLG, and Balulu's getting all the hype on IMTC. And Smacks, I think this, obviously, mid lane matchup is going to be very hype as well in terms of that copy side of it, but Balulu trying to find that in again.
Yeah, it's different, right? Because Copy's been around for quite a while here in the tier 2 side of North America, and honestly, I think a lot of people are thinking like, he has been around for a long time. When is he gonna move up? And I'm right there with everybody. I think Copy is definitely well on his way to doing so. I think this new setting shift for him has been a little bit interesting, considering the other 4 players on CLG Challengers have all been together for an entire split, at least up until this point. So I think the transition period was a little bit different for him, but I think he's been fitting in very, very well. And just like you said, Lennon, this mid lane matchup in specific is one that all of our eyes should definitely be looking at.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think we're gonna need to like evolve chameleon eyes here, because there's gonna be a couple things that I definitely want to keep an eye on. But this Immortals Progressive Challengers roster, or that one, maybe multiple eyes. I think Chad obviously is at forefront of the comp and trying to find the early advantage. We've seen him go into his fun stuff like the Rengar, but I love to see him on more of those setup picks for the team. And the roster itself, hopefully we'll be able to see that very soon, with Wixie, Joey as well in the bot lane, in kind of that weird meta state with the ADC pool, where we have been seeing them opt into some of those double ADC bot lanes, but not working out for them necessarily. It does raise some of those questions we were talking about earlier, Smacks.
The double AD carry stuff, it's really interesting, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I have opinions about the marksman support position. But for Wixie and Joey, I personally am really excited that they are jumping at the opportunity to try these different strategies, because we are, first of all, very early on into an entire season of League of Legends, so there's a lot to explore in a new season and everything. And secondly, this is still regular season. Everyone makes it to playoffs, so you can take this time to try different things. And speaking of this bottom lane, Wixie is my pick for the cutest player in this series.
And you were definitely not under duress while you had to make that choice, were you?
Yes. Shout out to my good friend Delphi, who did threaten me if I did not pick Wixie to do unspeakable things. So I would have picked Wixie regardless, I just want to say. But Delphi did influence the decision a little bit.
No, I'm not going to take that away from you. But I do want to put a highlight on this bottom lane a little bit more. We're going to roll some clips here as well to kind of take a look more so at how Chad has been able to facilitate some of the early pushes here on the bottom side. Beat down.
And 100%, Chad is that player who we know, we all say about him that it's not a matter of if Chad ganks before 3 minutes, it's which lane. And we see that happen time and time again. And this bot lane is a great one to be facilitating because, I mean, we talk about Wixie, that player who we were all shocked when he was no longer part of 100 Thieves Academy last year and was a big part of why AoE Ginger Turmeric made the crazy run they did. In fact, Summer, I remember we actually had this conversation where as soon as we found out Wixie was playing for this team, we were all immediately like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. This team is about to go deep into proving grounds. And
Chad
I think
Wixie.
Joey, who's been a part of this system for so long, and is that a pretty reliable player, pairs really well with him.
And on the other side, though, you got CLG Challengers. We already talked a little bit about Copy. We all know that dog in the top lane, Jenkins. The biggest focus for me is Meech and Breezy, who have shown a lot of mechanical prowess in their laning phases, but especially Meech with that just killer instinct to go in. We haven't necessarily seen that work out for him, but the young bot lane matchup here, especially with Meech versus Wixie, the same class of ADC talent, I'm very excited to see what Meech and Breezy bring here tonight.
I think it's really telling that Meech was the one bot laner that Wild Turtle shouted out as being very impressive in this new crop of 80 carries, because just like you said, he does have that killer instinct that Wild Turtle himself is very known for. Very high praise, I feel, and Meech and Breezy together as a pair in their second split, they have really been showing up as this duo, and we've got some clips as well just of that ferocity in just the 2v2 alone. I had a fun time pulling these because these guys are just ruthless.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You see these moments like, oh my god, and that was against Arrow as well. A little bit of back and forth there, but I love to see Meech and Breezy in these kinds of big moments as well. Smacks.
Yeah, it's a really fun time to see them. And I want to talk back about what you were saying about how these two bottom laners in this series are from that same class, because they really did pop up at a very similar time. It was around 2021 where they started getting their footing in that amateur space and really started impressing. There weren't that many 80 carries in the pool around that time. Danny had already moved up. It was mostly just Arrow, who had stepped back into the space and was playing on wildcard, and then the teams that could maybe beat Arrow sometimes. And that was, at the time, Wixie and Meech mostly. And it was really cool to see them grow at the same time and now get a similar spot at the same time on these challenger teams.
And that's the biggest thing here is I definitely want to bring up this spotlight focus a little bit more, because I know we were talking a little bit about the meta before we came on the show, Summer, but it is interesting to see in its own right some of the variations, I guess, more so in the support pool than the ADC pool, but that Joey and Breezy are kind of bringing into these duos.
The support pool, I mean, you got to have some creativity there, and it's good to have some stability in the other role, just to let the supports go try stuff.
That's true. And realistically, the fact that it's crazy how all this started with the Ashe support, and they realized, wait a minute, bot prio is amazing. What if we just picked whatever we could to ensure that happens in Stacked Dragons? And I mean, that just results in the variety you've seen. Of course, Joey, being the Chad that he is, will also play the tankier members like the Leona. Like, exactly. And that's what we like to see.
Actually, if you don't mind, I would actually like to bring that graphic back up, since we still have a while till draft. I think there were some issues with draft. We'll be getting that here as soon as possible. But I'd like to bring that bot lane meta highlight graphic back up here, because I think something that is interesting is that Wixie is known for his Chad gameplay. I think he obviously had a huge chip on his shoulder from not finding a team last year. And now coming into this year, we have seen some of that stable play from the tried and true meta picks of the ADC pool, but I love to see that he's able to sprinkle in that Draven every now and then, and that they're using those prio forward bot lanes to utilize a lot of that aggression that Wixie has found in the 2v2s, and especially against Meech. That's where I wonder if we get some of that variation here, where we've seen Meech go for like the Ezreal and more focus like the Xayah, things like that, differing than, let's say, we've seen from Wixie.
Yeah, I was checking out the other stream as well, where Xayah has been a very highly prioritized pick on the other stream, which is really interesting. Of course, we are on the first day of the new patch here, 13.3, so that probably has something to do with it, but Yeah, I think you're entirely right. We could see a bit of a mismatch in terms of lane priority here, but one thing's for certain, Wixie definitely likes having that push in that lane with Joey to enable him to do some wacky stuff.
Yeah, indeed. And we're going to be getting into it here, I believe, in just a little bit. As we had said, I believe some issues with the draft. But if you do want to bet on who's going to win, you can spam in chat. Who you think's going to win? Is it going to be IMTC or CLGC? Do we have any votes here in the chat? Are you guys spamming too? Beatdown, I see you furiously typing over there.
That I'm not typing anything. First of all, I haven't. I don't have the stream open. I know, shock. Sorry. But if I had to pick, I hope Chad is not listening. But I will pick CLG.
There's his
Chad's
phone
listening.
immediately.
Oh, that was me.
Oh
I guess that was me.
Why are you
That was me.
furiously typing in Twitch chat, Beatdown? No.
This is slander.
This is slander.
My hands are right here. I swear.
We're going to be getting into the draft here, and I do have the utmost honor of welcoming Summer onto the cast with us. It's been a long time since we've gotten to cast together, but I'm oh so excited to have this tri-cast with Beatdown and Smacks. And now with CLGC on the blue side to start off game number 1, IMTC on the red, we do get the Varus ban, so a lot of that focus towards ADC already going out the wayside for CLG as they also ban the Caitlyn. It is the Elise and the Ashe for IMTC Beatdown.
And a lot of, I like the Caitlyn focus as well because, you're also targeting Joey and Wixie based on the graphic that we were talking about just moments ago. And on the other end, we're seeing a lot of other normal bans. And then the Annie ban, again, 13-3.
Been rising in priority.
Been rising, but also the mid update for this patch was actually a pretty hefty nerf for her. I'm not too sure how high priority she has become, but you called it, Summer. Xayah Rakan on R1 too.
Yeah,
Hey,
really
gotta
powerful
appreciate
2v2 there. Especially when Annie's gone. You don't want to play against Annie as this duo because that shield, the movement speed there makes it very easy for you to outmaneuver the knock up and the snare as well from Xayah. So I like to see that one. But I mean, what better test than to play against Lucian and Nami as this newly prioritized bot lane? See if that lane actually does get you any prio.
And we're burning through this draft right now. My goodness. So first and foremost, to see Chad on the Vi. Love it. A lot of facilitation for him. Big fan. We get the Cassante for ADD. No slouch in his own right, but I'm looking back at those bans in phase 2 where we get the Sion and the Zoe and the Talia and the Rise. And now the Renekton picked up with the potential looking at the mid lane in Syndra for CLGC.
So
interesting.
CLG's comp, we basically have both our comps up and ready to go here. CLG's comp, so Kevy managed to get the Maokai, which usually ends up being banned, not just from him, from a lot of other people. It's a champ where he's able to, I think he's been pretty good at the early game facilitating his laners and things like that. And when you have Meech and Breezy, who are definitely one of the best bot lanes we have in the league, you want to be facilitating them, especially up against Wixie Joey in this very powerful 2v2 combination. You want to make sure it's not a 2v2. You don't get to play fair.
That's why the Talia and the Rise bans come through also. Making sure that Copy can't get on those roamers at level 6 and make that bottom lane into way more than a 2v2. You got to make sure of that. But the Syndra is definitely still capable of that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the itemization differences are actually going to be on this patch. Because again, 13.3... Vi and Maokai both were big fans of the Radiant Virtue. I'm wondering if that changes now, that item is significantly weaker, doesn't give you the ability haste anymore, the cooldown's a lot longer, and these are both champions that build enough cooldown reduction where you can ult off cooldown, and that might end up being an issue now with the increase.
Right, and the thing too is like the cooldown on that like the active that when you cast your ult has also gone up to 90 seconds. I think it's still just right off the bat, like just right off the top of my head, I think it's still something that they're going to benefit a lot from just based off the bonus HP and things like that, because of the fact that when you think about tank mythic options, ever since they made the change, the adjustment to Jack Show, it just plummeted in priority. It's not as oppressive as it was before, and I feel like it doesn't offer as much utility for these champs.
Now, I am very interested. I know we put a lot of focus on bottom side. That is obviously going to be the focal point for both these two teams. But I want to go back to that Copy versus Balulu question, because Balulu has quickly rose to such a high point for IMTC. And we got to talk to him last week as well. And he was talking about, taking risks, willing to kind of take these risks and play aggressively. And he did so without abandon and did so very well. I mean, he even took, Jimenez to that one, and being able to try and find those advantage against such good mid laners has been really interesting to see Balulu tackle. And the Sylas for me has been a standout for at least, I guess, that aggressive style that he's known for, Beatdown.
Absolutely. He's definitely some of the best pop-off performances we've seen from Balulu so far are on the Sylas. He's doing some ridiculous things, so he has a lot of playmaking potential, especially when you think about things he can hijack, like the tidal wave, the nature's grasp, and things like that. A lot of team fight and playmaking potential, and since Balulu has joined, a lot of the wins that they've been able to pick up on Immortals side is him just taking over games.
It's interesting though, because for IMT, they are on this big upward swing. We heard from you, Beatdown, about your conversation with Chad about how they feel like that momentum is in their favor. They feel like now that their entire team is present, that they can really start making strides and really start to build up that mid-jungle synergy, among other things. Copy is a pretty big roadblock to have to face in that like upward swing. So will they actually be able to keep that one moving upward, or will Copy be that stopper to it all, as he tends to do?
And again, that whole story of the chip on his shoulder for Copy, he thought he was LCS bound. You heard from him yourself, Beatdown, and we all did too, right? He was our runner-up MVP. I believe he was 3rd or 4th, I believe, in our kind of most valuable prospect rating last year, and it was a shock. But I'm glad that it feels like he found a home on CLG, and he wants to step up. He wants to be that leader on the team, Beatdown.
He does, and it's pretty cool, like talking to him too, because he had even said, because I asked him how it affected him, that he thought he was going to get to LCS, but he did not, like shocking him and all of us, of course. And he says it doesn't really affect him. He just has to work harder. And I like that motivation, and I like that it took him a little time, but he feels like he slotted well into the CLG roster. Like you said, Lennon, being that leader for the team, big voice, everything. And it's incredible to think about, especially because you called it, Summer. Copy is the only new member of this roster that's been playing together since last year.
Very important new member too. I feel like it brings this team a lot of stability in and out of the game as CLG. I mean, they've got this positive record, right? Whereas last year they were sitting around the 4th and 5th for that summer split where everyone started to come in, and maybe that's because Meech is feeling more comfortable in the Challengers / Academy space of last year. Maybe that's because Kevy is feeling more comfortable in an entirely new country. But I think a lot of that does get to be credited to Copy, as he has just been such a staple in the league for so long.
Absolutely has. We'll see how he's able to adjust to this situation, especially find those carry potentials out the Syndra. Now we got to look at the pathing early on. We got a little bit of vision game played by IMTC, so they do spot out the bottom side pathing from Kevy. Chad will start bolting his way bot lane. I'm sure all that focus we were talking about is going to culminate in a early skirmish in bottom side of the map, Summer.
A lot of deep vision here onto Kevy's path. We just saw that ward got zoomed in there, and there was one on the Raptor pit too. So IMT, they're pretty keenly aware of what Kevy's up to, although he's still trying to find some way to be a thorn in Chad's side as we see him try to invade this romp right now and get more pressure bot.
There's already so much pressure bot with the trades going on too. Like, it's so tough because even with Joey starting the battle dance, the shielding isn't enough to make up for that early game damage that we see from Lucian Nami. But Kevy,
from Kevy, the flash from Chad. He needs to try to get out. He does. That early flash burn from Chad, and Kevy with that aggressive move, actually paying huge bounds for them, Summer.
Could pay even more. He's actually trying to steal this blue buff. I don't think Chad's going to let him do that, but Kevy has the smite. This bot lane pressure is ginormous. So it's definitely possible. He's going to give up, though.
Chad is hovering over, though. Oh, connects. And so far, so good for Meech and Breezy with this level 3 mark, as they will just be continuing to press in Wixie and Joey here. Joey tries to go in for another engage, but Kevy just hovering this bottom side, as looking like Kevy will eventually go for a little bit of aggression back into the jungle and using those saplings as a vision control. Gonna keep tabs on Chad.
Another one. Wow. So many words in this jungle. It's not really helping right now, though. Kevy is just doing whatever he wants and spreading Joey's time so thin in this bottom lane. He cannot protect Wixie. He cannot protect Chad. He's just kind of a level 3 Rakan dancing around.
Doing his
best. See me on keyboards.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in your face.
And it's rough
Jenkins.
too, because wow, I mean, it just seems like lanes are going well for everyone on the side of CLG. You saw that invade earlier. It's because Copy has constantly had that mid pressure, which we expect in the matchup. But you can see Kevy and the rest of CLG are using it very well. Chad trying to get what he can by stealing away the Raptor camp, and he's gonna. I think he got the big one.
Yeah, he did.
He's gonna have to take the fight afterwards, though, as he's pushing back a little bit, trying to bait out Kevy to chase him down. Maybe he'll use this vault breaker to get out of there. Oh, he's a double shot from the tower, though. Can't weave those ones. And first blood to Kevy.
Oh,
And
that feels bad.
flash used earlier. Yeah, it
Yep.
feels so
Yeah.
bad. Can't even get out of the turret range. He took 2 turret shots. I think he was dead anyway, honestly. But
Yeah.
He's trying to make the great escape, trying to make it out of there. But I will just give huge props to Kevy. I know we put so much emphasis on the lanes, but Kevy, from that first clear to pressing into Chad, getting that flash early, he has been nonstop oppression, at least so far for CLG. Now oppression maybe on the bot lane is flash burned by Meech, and beat down a little bit of aggression, maybe answered by Kevy coming down here.
Yeah, really nice. As the levels start to come through, you're seeing Wixie and Joey start to get the better, and getting Meech's flash is a big deal. Kevy's in the area, but what happens in the next few minutes is the question, because now Chad has gotten some time to go back into the jungle, is being less bothered by Kevy after that first blood ended up coming through. So get some experience, get closer and closer to level 6, and maybe you can help set up a play on that bottom side. Because right now, Wixie and Joey have managed to catch up quite a bit, but you're seeing that first purchase come through for Meech, which is a pretty big start for the Lucian here. And they're just going to keep the pressure on if they can.
that wave crashing is a big deal, though. Wixie will come back to lane with an additional pair of boots. So that's quite nice. Helps him dodge out on those bubbles. Very crucial. He's been hit by a few of those. I'm sure he's not too happy about that so far, not wanting to take a swim. I don't think birds really enjoy that too much, and I think that extends to
Most of them don't.
Vestayan
What about a
birds,
bird
too.
bath? What does a bird bath do?
That's like a little puddle. I don't know if that's a,
Yeah,
a
it's not the
gigantic
same.
tidal wave, Lennon.
Water?
I mean, is jumping into the
Tidal
ocean a
wave,
bath?
bird Yeah, I mean, come on. At that point, like, when I put my hands underwater, is that bath? Is that a bath? No,
No.
that's not a bath.
I was going to say, Lennon, we were going to have some
getting too gamer.
questions about your hygiene. Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, everyone. Lennon is a man of taste. He keeps
Yes.
himself nice and clean at all times. Don't you worry.
Lennon,
But-
if that's a bath to you, then I sure hope you take many, many baths.
At the same
I'm a
time.
gigantic human being, so I don't know how it's gonna work. We will see how the bath and the birds are gonna work out in this one, though. As Joey's definitely not gonna have fun. I hope I get to ask Joey about this sometime, because at this point now I want to ask him how Rakan feels against that one. But we are looking back at the bot side now. Dragon has been spawned, but Chad wants to hover over and maybe even start taking this neutral objective for IMT.
Does have the option. A pretty decent sized wave has crashed mid. Bolulu is in the area as well, so there's a chance for them to be able to pull this one out and just start doing it, especially because now you're starting to see Wixie and Joey get the push, clear these waves faster, and Wixie might be looking to move up to help his jungler out.
This is one of my favorite things about watching Chad play jungle is even if he finds himself in a bind early game, that never, ever, ever stops him from making plays. It never wavers his confidence. He's always ready and looking forward to that next step. And for now, that is not only just this Drake, but he literally went back to the scene of the crime and invaded those Raptors again.
Yeah.
He got the 3rd Raptor spawn against Kev even after dying solo earlier. Yeah, I just love that about Chad.
And there's a little bit of extra oomph here to Chad as well, right? It was funny hearing when you were talking to him, at least in messages beatdown, where he was saying, he had CLG's number all
I was going to
last
bring that
year.
up, yeah.
He, knocking them down in lower bracket in spring, knocked them in the tournament in summer, and also just the fact that he wants to keep that good record.
Yeah, he knows where he's like, look, CLG, that org, that's no big deal to me. And he wants to keep that one up, so it feels good to say you can beat an entire org. Does that not feel good? I want you guys to say that really quick. Like, damn, I always beat CLG. Like, how powerful does that make you feel?
I think that's blasphemous in my house. I think
Oh, yeah, you can't say that.
I will be smote from Kangas if I say that.
Yeah, true.
We are looking at a little bit of a fight here. And speaking of smites, Maybe we'll see IMT be able to smite this one away as Chad has shown up. And in force, so do IMT. Balulu, he takes that Nature's Grass. They're going back the roots both ways, but who's going to get the kills? First
Jenkins!
one goes to Copy, and now another to Kevy. And they're cleaning house here as 3 members fall from IMT. And all is left on the table for CLG. ADD does flash out. He is Cassante, so he makes it away. But a big early win for CLG.
Oh my god. They get everything, including the Rift Herald on top of it. So much gold for Jenkins in turret plates as well. Did I remind you guys? He had pretty low health by the end of this one, and he just walks to the end. And watch Jenkins in this one. You see Balulu, this is what we were talking about. You steal a big team fight ulti, and you do everything you can to get the use out of it. But look at what happens here. I mean, for one thing, the Dominus comes in so clutch, and everybody else has their health at pretty much 100%.
Copy Syndra stun hit all 4 of them there. I mean, you talk about this mid matchup. Copy, he got the first punch for sure. That was brutal, securing them 4 of these kills into that Rift Herald, as you said, beatdown. I mean, CLG, these solo laners are putting in the work in that first skirmish.
Need that leadership, and you know, getting a kill early on Syndra, getting those item spikes here is going to help out a lot. But IMT, as we had said earlier, are not one to give up the fight. They will continue to look, and Chad is doing so with an invade. It might not end well his way. CLG have shown 4 members now down bottom side.
You keep trying these, like I said. I love seeing Chad do it, but at a certain point, CLG is going to recognize, hey, these Raptors are never up. I wonder what's going on here. I wonder if Chad is living in our bot side jungle.
There's the culprit, the ward. It's Chad's drive-through slot for the chicken nuggets.
There you go. Nice. It's not the slot. It's like the talk box. You know?
Yeah.
With the menu, it shows the menu and everything.
Oh my gosh! You got everything you need there, Chad. Just make
for your red buff.
Yeah, exactly. We just gotta get the announcer packs coming. But now you do see that Kevy's actually going for that invade of his own, hovering bot side. So is Chad. Actually, Kevy moving away from this bottom side. Chad waiting in the. Oh, he turned back around. So Kevy just kind of hovering until they see Chad, until they figure out where this advance is going to be. And speaking of, you got the twisted advance coming through from Kevy to join the fight. They find Chad. Maybe they get Breezy back, so Joey gets 1 kill here. Kevy gets a double knockback, and Mitch with a double kill here and a triple. And you wanted mechanical gameplay? Well, here you go.
We're talking about chicken nugget drive-through orders. Meech came in with the 3-piece combo. A great read from Kevy as well to help set this play up. Matching the play from Chad means that more plates are going to this AD carry and more damage to this turret. They could be able to just take this whole thing, and that would just make this lead almost insurmountable.
Oh my goodness.
Flash. This is kind of dangerous up here.
That was very close in top side of the map. But
it's not over, I don't think.
He's got one more twirl there. Chad's coming here. Joey's on his way. Jenkins. You ain't playing the dog, but you're playing the crocodilian. Can you make it out this time? I don't know what kind of noise a crocodile makes, but maybe I can make it here as Breezy comes to save his day.
Chomping noises.
He's going back in. The bubble connects, and Jenkins actually thinks for a second, do we just go back in? As the thumbs up comes up from Breezy, and IMT have to pull away, and that's what some of this gold lead has given them. I mean, they're 6,000 gold in the advantage under 13 minutes in.
The fish-crocodile synergy, the underwater duo.
Yeah.
Breeze up here helping out the top side. Oh my god. Underneath the turret.
Chad. This is personal. Says you might have had my number all year last year, but ain't gonna get it this time. Balulu
here we go.
Big ADD all out, but is he gonna go down? Copy just slams the door on that question mark. Jenkins flashes finally on a Joey, throws up the Timo, and Balulu has found Kevy, but goes down to a double kill to Copy.
On this lead, it just keeps growing and growing. And the thing I want to highlight too is, maybe not.
Maybe not. We're getting the back and forth. The guns are on the show house floor here for both of these teams.
Wait a minute.
There's no cooldowns left for Copy to do anything about it.
Oh, you just used E though, Wixie. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, now,
All right,
now it's
he's
over.
backing up.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
nice though. Smooth
It
stuff
was.
from Wixie, trying to bounce his way back into this game. You know, he may be down an entire rapid fire cannon, by the
my
way,
God.
off of that triple kill from earlier, but he's still able to make some stuff happen.
Wixie.
Oh, stuff.
Oh, man, all the mechanics coming out here, but Chad says you can't get away from the mechanic of an unstoppable cease and desist.
Uh-oh.
As now Mish wants to get the trades back.
Oh, no.
Delivering a double kill to the ADC of CLG, and he's 5-0, 14 minutes in.
And it was looking good at first there. 2 kills for Wixie, but it just isn't enough. They took too long. And it was enough time for Meech and Breezy to be able to come help clean things up. And that's what I want to talk about too. Meech, of course, been playing well, but Breezy is another one who, one, I think played well last year, but also I think has been having a great year this year. And if bot lane wasn't so stacked, like Meech and Breezy would definitely be at the top, the tippity top. But right now, top 4, top 3 is probably where I'd have them.
At a certain point, by the way, in the bot lane meta, you just got to ask yourself, does this lane beat Lucian Nami? Because you're just going to have to play against it at some point. And I feel like Wixie and Joey, they, you know, like I keep saying, I love that they're continuing to try new things. They're continuing to try to keep up with this meta, but sometimes you just get hit with the old reliable. The Lucian Nami, you just can't do anything about it. And then you go down 3,000 gold, and Meech has got 5 kills. That's just happens sometimes.
Just imagining some like old guy on a porch slapping his knee. That's the old reliable. It's Lucian Nami. You gotta go up against that one of these days. But no, it really is. The thing for me though is not only the combo, but it's been the execution, right? I think we've seen some very, very flashy mechanics from Meech already in a short game, and this is the kind of stuff we wanted to see from him. And we've even seen some of that response from Wixie, and that's why I love so much when we set up these two guys, the same class of ADC, and a lot of that aggression by backing both of them, and the mechanics are kind of backing that up here, Smacks.
Yeah. My favorite thing about this game so far is the way that both Kevy and Breezy have been able to link up with all 3 teammates on this team. They are all working so well interchangeably. I mean, look at this right now. Copy and Kevy are about to find Balulu out on this top side, or they could have, but they're still just ready to play together on any given play. And that's not something that you see too often. Usually you've got like, I don't want to say it's like clicky, but you know, you think about some other teams in this league, like the junglers, they have a role that they prefer to go and play around, but it doesn't really feel like CLG has that this game.
Yeah, they play towards, they just do the play that makes the most sense at pretty much every given point. And for a team where these guys play all 3 lanes, all their laners, they draft and play for all their laners to find success. It makes a lot of sense with how that goes. And I'm not going to lie, that skin for Silas confused me for a second. While channeling teleport, I thought it was Vi, and I was like, huh?
Wixie's dead.
Oh, hey.
Oh my
hey.
God. Hey, mid lane, what's going on?
Oh, hey.
How you doing? Are you doing all right? Okay, Meech finds 2 more kills. Maybe I'm sure we'll get a replay of that, but I guess maybe nothing to see here, folks.
I can tell you exactly what happened there if you want. That was Breezy knowing that Zai ult's not up, using the tidal wave, and then Meech getting 2 kills. Simple as that. Again,
simple as that. Results-based analysis.
Old reliable.
Old reliable. Slap of the knee again. As now Meech moving here. Another charge goes down on the top side onto an inhib tower this time. Wixie back onto the map, but again, complete control. Now over 10,000 gold.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Look at that.
Oh,
what a coincidence.
Wixie had flash still.
Yeah. It was definitely, I made it. And then he didn't.
Meech was like, hey, I have 2.5 items. Did you remember that?
Yeah, just a quick reminder. It's like, hey, you want to see my inventory? Just, opens the codes.
Hey, look at these cool trading cards.
Yeah.
I was definitely that kid. I had the binder. I had all the cards ready, the holographics and everything.
As you should.
I felt pretty badass back then.
Hey, you're still pretty badass now. That's all I'm
Hey,
saying.
there you go.
All right, now we'll get back into this one here, the wholesomeness rating through. But now 3 items completed for Meech, and he's no longer wholesome. He's evil. in this match.
Being fed doesn't make you evil. It makes you dangerous.
He's evil to IMT.
Okay,
right?
fair. That's true. You know what, Lennon?
Perception.
You know what, Lennon?
IMT.
That's actually very excellent point about how it's all about perspective. So I'm gonna give you that one. I like that.
Ooh, Bubble Hands, the tidal wave comes
Oh
back.
my God!
Advance just went like a literal mile. Meech is engaged on by Chad. The peel is not enough. He goes down as well, and IMT finds something back, but Jenkins, he finds that back line. Wixie does get that blade caller out. ADD stunned down and dragged down himself. Jenkins wants to chase him down. It's a flash out as well. ADD. Can he get out?
Oh,
Nice little moves from ADD, and IMT
side to
actually
side.
find a little purchase on the map.
they needed that big time,
Yes.
especially the shutdown from Meech. You take Kevy out of the picture as well. I think it's good awareness for Joey because realistically, not only did he battle dance after getting hit with the twisted advance, but you see he realized he's being followed and says, "Oh yeah, come with me, Kevy. We're going all the way back."
There's no way he meant to do that. There's
don't
no
think
way
so?
he wanted to be dragged way
Kevy? Yeah,
past
Kevy did not
the
want
entire
that.
front. Yeah, Kevy for sure.
Kevy.
No. Balulu, or sorry, Joey definitely did intend to cause some shenanigans on the Rakan, and I love to see that. This is also just, again, that nice movement from ADD, keeps himself alive. And for Immortals, you have to be able to survive these skirmishes by any means necessary. And if it's just dragging the Maokai 100 yards past your team, then that's just what you got to do.
By any means necessary.
That's exactly it. I do want to say we get the second item completion for Wixie here now as well. So it's obviously still waiting on that third for the big Xayah spike, but very much trying to build towards the pieces that matter here. Big things for me though, CLG have just been focusing on pressing down the gas pedal, and not really focusing too much on the neutral objectives as much, right? We've had the Dragons kind of go to the Wade side to some extent here, and they are just looking for picks now with this 7-1 Lucian and the 4-1 Syndra.
Because Baron's on the map, and even though it only just spawned, they are so far ahead despite the shutdowns that we saw picked up that CLG, if they get a fight, even a pick, that Baron will be theirs, and they can just continue to accelerate this game. But now Jenkins, I want to say he's in trouble, but he's also pretty fed.
I saw him use his dash.
Might have something to say about that. Does have the engage from Joey that goes a little bit wide. Chad is trying to join the rest of the team here. They do connect though. Jenkins.
Oh, what was that?
God. He heals so damn much, and you can't kill the Croc. CLG. That's just dirty. It's now they're moving in. Joey, he's trying to get baited out by Meech. That's a big tidal wave. Connects onto Joey. Joey dies. Now the flank from Copy rather, but they're on
shut down.
Wixie finds Meech. He finds Breezy, and it's just a back and forth between these ADCs as a double kill to him. But Copy has picked up the straggler on the other side. Jenkins and Kevy. Copy as well. They're trying to clean out IMT. They're getting the sweepers ready. Balulu can't connect the CC. Wixie, they're going to try to separate to see who can make it out, but neither of them will. They both fall.
Oh, the
as
sap leg!
CLG rise to dominance.
We got to look back at that healing from Renekton. Can we just do some math real quick? Because I don't believe my eyes with the numbers that I just saw increase on Jenkins' HP bar. He was in a 1v3.
The Q plus Gore Drinker
The
combo
Gore Drinker.
is dirty.
All right, let's do some math here, shall we? Let's see.
Okay.
How low does he actually get here? He gets down to about 800, if I'm remembering correctly. 800? 600? Oh my God.
So 1,400.
Holy cow.
That was about 1,400 HP that he just healed.
And he bought so much
pretty good.
time in the process where, to be fair, it was some good play from Meech and Breezy to be able to secure some of these kills. And Wixie and Balulu almost turned it around. But at the end of the day, like, you have the teleport from Jenkins coming through to make sure, close the jaws on this beast that is CLG this game. And they just bite down on Balulu and Wixie.
I mean, these skirmishes, they keep going the way of CLG. I'm liking the little scraps that we're seeing picked off from the table here as Wixie does continue to find little bits and pieces of gold and kills. He's up to 5 now. Like, that's not nothing for Immortals, but I mean, the rest of the map is just so far down. They're as a team already down 10K to the point where Wixie finding these kills, it's mattering less and less.
And part of me wants to ask about like the scaling and stuff, but with this lead, right, it's very difficult. And I think even with the lack of range that Meech has and some of the catch outs we've seen against them, it's still that strength where if he gets a nice front to back with the team, he's just going to wipe the board. And we see that Baron is now on the table here, and it actually looks like CLG might be positioning around this one just to try to force the hand of IMT Summer.
Well, they're forcing something. As we've got the culling used. Oh, there's the Maokai too.
Yeah, Balulu. Oh, they catch him. He's down.
Very nice.
CLG are now moving in, though. They got to be careful. Wixie on the back line. Wixie! He's going to use that Feather Storm. The Blade Caller is not going to save him today. The bubble doesn't connect from Breezy. We got a front to back here, though, brewing as Meech wants to get in. He has all that gold, and IMT are just trying to do a little roundabout here, get around the back.
Okay.
I don't know if they can get the connection. Balulu and the rest of IMT run away as the Baron setup for CLG was just a bait. Ends up giving a kill back and forth to both sides beat down.
They're looking. I want to see if IMT go a little too far. That trade was not worth it. Even though Copy has a lot of gold, Meech is the big damage dealer on CLG's side. Losing Wixie means CLG escort IMTC out of the river into the mid lane, and it's just time with Copy teleporting in to go and start the Baron. Chad, we've seen him steal objectives before, and he's going to need to do so again. This Baron could be the end of game 1 for Immortals.
TP coming in from Balulu. Wixie is still far away.
Whoa!
Weak! And IMT are weak at the knees as they run away from this sacred engage that Copy just landed. That's a Baron in the eyes of CLG beatdown.
And a Baron, like I said, the tools to end the game are in CLG's hands at this point. You have the Baron buff. You have the extra gold it offers, putting you up to 13, almost 14K up on Immortals. And all things considered, Immortals, they're putting up a good fight for the gold lead, the gold deficit, excuse me, that they're in. But at this point, one more slip up, one more misstep, it's over.
Man, Copy is making Scatter the Weak look like an ultimate in this game. And not just an ultimate. That looks like the best ultimate on the Rift right now. And it's not even Syndra's ultimate. How is he continuing to find these huge engages as a mage? He's literally the mage on his team. He has
Because
Maokai.
you can't step to the man. You can't.
Oh
He
my
has the
God.
biggest chip on his shoulder. We talked about his journey to joining the CLG roster, and he has no doubt heard all the praise that Balulu has been getting, and he is putting him down and in place in this matchup beatdown.
I mean, Scatter the Weak, this is scattering the doubters. Like, put him in LCS.
There you go. There
True.
you go.
True. And the thing too is I like what CLG are doing. Usually when they're even or ahead, they will spread out, play across multiple lanes, but they're in a position where Immortals, their way back into this game, if you can call it that, is them all inning on a side lane, trying to get a 3v1, a 4v1. So grouping the way they have removes that possibility for Immortals, and it just means that mid is getting pushed in, this inhibitor's turret is going down, inhibitor soon to follow, and what can you really do? Immortals, they're feeling so pressured soon, we might just see them try and risk it all soon.
I don't think they can get the inhibitor quite yet, but honestly, they don't need to. They've got multiple lanes pushed at the same time. They've still got those engage tools up and available, which is just making Immortals so scared to approach to the point where that inhibitor does fall. And that mid lane turret is soon to follow as well. CLG just picking up the pieces off the Rift right now.
They still have so much time on this Baron buff, about a minute left here, but would like to see them utilize it a little bit more. I mean, to be honest, like, I guess it's 27 minutes. They have 14,000 gold in the lead. They should just close this game out. Like, that is where some of that mechanical execution for CLG. They're putting the pressure on. They're utilizing this split lane push. Now they have Dragon to fall back onto, or even just look for the kills in mid lane if they can catch out ADD.
That's the big thing. Like, you have these big moments to look for picks here. You have the Lucian Nami where Meech is looking for the dash to get some burst damage in. You have the Scatter of the Weak that Summer so aptly said was like an ultimate this game. So you have a lot of opportunity to look for things from range. But now Chad, he's looking for something very interesting.
He has not been spotted. It will be the tidal wave used from Balulu there, but the tower has fallen already. Chad needs to choose his mark soon, but Jenkins, I think he knows something is up. He knows that Chad has been missing for way too long, and that will be another inhib down and a culling used by Meech. Because now it looks like Chad wants to go in. That's the quickness pop. That's everything onto Meech. Meech is getting the focus, but nobody else can join Chad. Copy is now the renewed focus for IMTC, but those saplings are doing so much work. And
Whoa!
Scatter, the weak, and CLG, the faithful, have been here and present on the day, and their wondrous faith has fueled this game one destruction of IMTC, and this will be the final touches of game one for CLG.
TPing into the base to celebrate this finish. Wait, Kevy, he's getting Casante'd into the base, but I think it's gonna be all right. Counter Logic Gaming Challengers making this game look so easy off the back of the insane knockbacks from Copy Syndra.
Almost 20,000 gold in the lead in the end. And it was a dominant victory from CLG from minute one. They controlled the entire map. They made Chad's life hell. And they mechanically executed through Meech, through Copy, the guys that we were looking for from the very beginning. Thank you so much for joining us, Max. We're going to step away for a little break. We'll be right back with your halftime show.